Alright, now jumping back into this, we're now on our last little bit of Boom and Bust, and that is the man who was supposed to fix it and tried everything possible, but ultimately it was not him, but the war, and that is FDR. Alright, so we're going to talk about FDR and the first New Deal right now. First off, here he is. FDR is the only president to serve more than 2 terms. He was actually elected to 4, but died shortly into the 4th term and gave it to Roosevelt. Now, when he's elected, we've actually had a lot of conservative presidents, 12 years. We don't get another conservative president for 20 years. Now, FDR did serve 12 of those, and then Truman has 8. So that's saying something about the direction the country thought they needed to go. And we'll talk about him being liberal and some other stuff here in a second. So his name is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Serves more than 2 terms. There you go. His campaign promise, he promised a New Deal. What he means by that is a lot of government involvement. We're going away from laissez-faire completely here. He's going to regulate the economy. He's going to provide jobs. He's going to rely on deficit spending. A lot of things happen here, and he is probably the most active president. And given maybe his physical state that I'm going to show you here in a second, it's interesting. Now, when he takes office, he's actually upset that he can't start until March. That was the way it happened. And so to prevent this from happening again, we passed the lame duck president, lame duck amendment, the 20th Amendment. It officially moved the inauguration date back from March until January, thereby cutting down the amount of time that a lame duck president would have, meaning, you know, the outgoing president won't pass any laws, and so he's there. He just kind of biding time. We get rid of him. Now, what made FDR unique is that he was physically impaired. He was confined to a wheelchair because of a childhood disease known as polio. Now, you get a polio shot today, but this is just a chart that shows you muscles that are commonly weak by polio, and you can tell it's anything that has to straighten, anything in the back, extending your knee, etc., and so it would be very difficult to walk. However, FDR did a lot of hiding to make sure he was not seen in a wheelchair. Why? He's the most powerful man in the world at this point, President of the United States, and we can't look weak, especially when we go into World War II. And so that's there. Now, the next thing is just a cool video on YouTube I found. It was a baseball game, and I'll just show it to you. As you see here, FDR, he was in a wheelchair, right? But look at him, he's actually
It is incredible
walking.
footage, and it really gives you insight into the personal struggles that our president had, that Roosevelt had. Certainly at a time that our country was going through a lot of turmoil with World War II and the Depression, it was important that he showed strength to the public. And so to have this insight into his personal physical struggle is really pretty remarkable. I think it's so important that this family recognize the historical value of what they had, and rather than keep it in their family, or in the basement, or in an attic somewhere, they thought enough of their grandfather and their father to honor his legacy by sharing this video with the public.
So there you go. FDR seen in public, walking, and as we said, here's the Roosevelt family circa 1919 after World War I. Notice again, we're doing a lot to mask the fact that he has polio, he's in a wheelchair, and in fact, in the Oval Office, he had a front panel put in front of him to make sure they couldn't see the wheelchair when he was sitting. So a lot was done to mask the fact he was in a wheelchair, and the lady explained why. You know, we're going through public turmoil with the Depression and later on World War II that he has to take care of. Now, it is for this reason a marriage is a partnership, and FDR relies very heavily upon his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, seen right here. And so she becomes the first really proactive First Lady. Yes, The kids were there, and there were a lot of kids. But she is going to be essentially his legs, pardon the pun. But she got out and did things, and his eyes and ears, and came back and reported, and he was out to help out. Now, FDR in his New Deal, he sets out to help what he calls the forgotten man. And so here we have FDR, right? Notice he's standing again. Yes, you remembered me. And the forgotten man. Who is the forgotten man? The forgotten man is the common American man. If you remember conservatives, Republicans, they believe in helping out businesses and trickle-down economics. FDR said, no, we must go directly to the people and help them out. This is a completely new economic theory, and we'll talk about it in one of these videos coming up. Now, as much as FDR was doing this, it wasn't all entirely his idea. He had with him a group of men he called his brain trust. Now remember, a trust is a collection of the best things, in this case the best minds, and sometimes these men argued almost to throwing punches, and FDR liked it because he said they got excited, and the ideas flew from these men out how to forget them, how to help out the people. Now we also get from FDR how we typically now judge a president, and that is, what are they going to do in their first 100 days in office? And so what FDR does, he kind of sets the bar really high here. He passes many, many legislations for the New Deal, tons of proactive things for people to get jobs, and reform banking, and many, many things under the New Deal. And so he kind of sets the bar really high as to what you're supposed to do in your first 100 days in office. And so that's FDR and the New Deal. The next thing we're going to go into is a little bit more about that, and then we'll talk about the bank holiday. Here I need you to explain how Eleanor Roosevelt was vital to FDR's presidency, and you're going to have to look this one up. But what are the groups inside the Brain Trust? There were 3 different groups there, and how they actually functioned in the Brain Trust. All right, until next time.